I'm being serious. Stop and actually think about it. What does she do? What does she contribute? What is her purpose in the story this show is telling? Because the more I look at her, the more I realize the answer is uncomfortable. Her son is murdered in front of her in one of the most horrifying scenes in the entire show, and she barely reacts. She becomes quieter, not louder. There is no breakdown, no rage, no vengeance, just a kind of soft, drifting acceptance that no real mother would ever have. Her husband is burned almost to death, left disfigured, traumatized, and dying. And she does not visit him. She does not sit with him. She does not act like a wife at all. Her family is losing a war. Her brothers are getting killed in the sky. The Greens are running out of dragon riders, and Helaena has Dreamfire, a massive, ancient, powerful dragon sitting right there waiting for her, and she refuses to use her. She refuses to even consider it. But here's the part that broke me. The part that I think is the most damning thing the show has done with this character. Helaena appears in Daemon's vision at Harrenhal. Daemon, the man who orchestrated the murder of her 2-year-old son. And what does she tell him? Fulfill your destiny. Play your part. Kill my brother, her child's murderer. And she is encouraging him. So today I want to ask the question nobody is really asking out loud. What is Helaena Targaryen actually for? Is she a character? Or is she a tool the show keeps reaching for every time the plot needs to move? Because by the end of this video, I think you are going to see her very differently. And honestly, you might be a little angry about it. Let's get into it. Before we can really talk about what the show has done with Helaena, we have to talk about who she was supposed to be. In Fire and Blood, the book this entire show is based on, Helaena Targaryen is one of the most quietly tragic characters in the entire story. She is sweet, she is kind, she is genuinely beloved by the small folk of King's Landing, which is a rare thing to say about any Targaryen, let alone a princess raised in the politics of court. People liked her, people rooted for her, people wanted her to be happy. She is also a devoted mother. The book Helaena loves her children. They are her world. Her bond with them is one of the few genuine, uncomplicated relationships in the whole Dance of Dragons. There is no scheming there, no politics, no prophecy. Just a young woman who adores her babies and wants nothing more than to keep them safe. And the book version of Blood and Cheese, the moment her toddler son Jaehaerys is murdered in front of her, destroys her completely. She does not become quiet. She does not become ethereal. She does not start delivering prophecies about destiny. She becomes a woman whose mind has shattered. She stops speaking properly. She wanders the halls of the Red Keep. She refuses food. She refuses to see her own surviving children because looking at them reminds her too much of the one she lost. Eventually, the grief is so unbearable that she throws herself out of a window of Maegor's holdfast. That is the book Helaena, a full, devastating, deeply human character. A woman the audience is supposed to mourn. A woman whose suffering is meant to show us exactly what this war costs. The show inherited that character, took one look at her, and made a very different choice. Now let's talk about the version of Helaena we actually got. The show's Helaena is quiet. She is distant. She is ethereal. She drifts through scenes like she is not fully present in any of them. She speaks in riddles, she avoids eye contact, she delivers cryptic warnings about closed eyes and dragon dances, and the show frames her this way deliberately. The actress is doing exactly what she has been directed to do. The lighting is choosing to make her look otherworldly. The score is choosing to make her sound mystical. Every single creative choice points in the same direction. They wanted her to feel like something other than a person. And honestly, I want to be fair here. Some fans love this interpretation. They see Helaena as a kind of mystical figure. A Targaryen so in tune with the dragon dreams that she has transcended ordinary human emotion. A prophet, a seer, a character whose stillness is its own kind of power. I have read those takes. I understand them. They are not stupid takes. But here's the question they cannot really answer. What does this version of Helaena actually do in the story? Stop and think about it. Take everything the show has given us through 2 full seasons of Helaena and try to list her actions. What has she accomplished? What has she chosen? What has she changed? The answer is uncomfortable. She has delivered prophecies. That is it. She tells Aemon he will die at the God's Eye. She tells Daemon he has a destiny to fulfill. She murmurs cryptic warnings about losing eyes and being closed. She predicts. She foresees. She informs. But she does not act. She does not grieve. She does not love. She does not fight. She does not try. She is not a character in the story. She is a narrator who happens to be inside it. And the more episodes you watch with this lens, the harder it becomes to unsee. Let's talk about the specific moments where her character actually breaks down. Because individually, you can explain each one away. Collectively, they paint a picture that is impossible to defend. Start with Blood and Cheese. Her 2-year-old son is murdered in front of her. The killers force her to choose which of her children dies. They cut off his head while she watches. She runs through the halls of the Red Keep carrying her daughter, traumatized, having just witnessed the worst thing a mother can possibly witness. And then she just becomes quieter. There is no breakdown. There is no descent into madness like in the book. There is no rage. There is no demand for vengeance. There is barely even any sustained grief. The show shows her tears for a scene or two, and then she returns to that same drifting, distant, prophetic state, like the murder of her child was just another data point in her vision of the future. Like she already knew it was going to happen, and now it is done, and we can move on. That is not how a mother grieves. That is how a character written by people who needed her to keep being mystical writes a mother grieving. The show wanted to preserve her vibe. And to preserve her vibe, they had to sacrifice her humanity. Now look at Aegon, her husband, the man she married, slept with, had children with. He gets burned in the battle at Rook's Rest. His skin is melted. His body is broken. He is left in agony, surrounded by physicians, half-conscious, slowly recovering. And his wife, the mother of his children, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, does not visit him. Not properly. Not in the way a wife visits a dying husband. Why not? Because the show has decided Helaena is not really attached to anyone. She is too busy floating. Too busy seeing the future. Too busy being mysterious to do the most basic human thing a partner does. Sit with the person they love when that person is suffering. And then the war. The Greens are losing. Aemond is the only major dragon rider they have left. Aegon is incapacitated. The Blacks are pressing. And Helaena, who has access to Dreamfire, one of the largest and oldest dragons in the world, refuses to even consider riding her. She is asked. She is begged. Alicent practically pleads with her, and Helaena just refuses, quietly, mystically, without offering any real explanation. Look, there are ways to write this that would work. You could give her a clear, pacifist moral arc. You could have her explain that she has foreseen the deaths of all dragon riders and refuses to add to the pile. You could give her a moment of real conviction. The show does none of that. She just refuses, drifts off, and the audience is supposed to understand it as part of her mystical wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is the writers using her stillness as an excuse to avoid writing her into the action. And now we come to the moment that broke this character for a lot of fans, including, I think, a lot of fans who did not even realize they were broken until they saw it. The Daemon dream at Harrenhal. Daemon is going through a long hallucinatory vision quest in the haunted castle. He is being shown his past, his future, his failures, his destiny. And at one point in those visions, Helaena appears to him. She stands in front of him. She speaks calmly. And she tells him to fulfill his role. To kill her brother Aemond. To play his part in the larger story that the gods or the prophecy or the Song of Ice and Fire is writing. Stop, take a breath, and actually think about what just happened. Daemon Targaryen is the man who orchestrated Blood and Cheese. The man whose plan put 2 assassins in Helena's bedchamber. The man whose decisions led directly to the murder of her 2-year-old son in front of her own eyes. There is no version of this story where Helaena does not know exactly whose blood is on Daemon's hands, and the show has her appear in his dream, encouraging him, telling him he is part of something greater, pushing him toward his destiny. There is no human reading of this scene that makes sense. Either Helaena does not actually grieve her son, which is a betrayal of everything the show has supposedly shown us, or she values cosmic destiny more than her own dead child. Both of those readings make her unrecognizable as a mother, as a person, as any kind of moral agent at all. This is not character complexity. This is not a deep, mystical, ethereal queen rising above petty grief. This is the show writing Helaena as a prophecy delivery system, and not caring that the prophecy she is delivering is to the murderer of her own son. And here is what makes it worse. The show frames this scene as profound, as mystical. As one of Daemon's most important moments of growth, the score swells, the lighting is reverent. We are supposed to feel like something important is happening. What is actually happening is the show using Helaena to give Daemon emotional permission to do what the plot needs him to do. Her son is collateral damage. Her grief is collateral damage. Her humanity is collateral damage. The plot needs Daemon to fulfill his destiny, and Helaena is the most convenient mouthpiece to give him the push. That is not what a character does. That is what a tool does. So why is the show doing this? Why are they making Helaena like this when the book gave them such a clear, devastating alternative? Because the show is trying to retrofit the Dance of Dragons into a prophecy story. Think about how the broader Game of Thrones universe works. It is built on prophecies, ancient songs, The Long Night, The Others, The Promised Prince, The Song of Ice and Fire itself. The original show ended with Daenerys, dragons, the White Walkers, and a 1,000-year cycle of foretold doom. That is the world this story exists in. But the Dance of Dragons is not supposed to fit into that. The dance is supposed to be a preventable family tragedy, a war that did not have to happen. A failure of human beings, Viserys, Rhaenyra, Daemon, Alicent, Otto, to act with wisdom when they had every chance to. It is supposed to be a cautionary tale about how love and pride and ambition can destroy a dynasty when nobody steps back to see what they are doing. That is the version of the dance the book gave us. A tragedy, avoidable, devastating. The show does not want that version. The show wants the dance to feel like part of the larger mythology, so they are slowly turning it into a destiny story. Daemon has visions. He sees Daenerys. He sees the Wall. He is being told he has a role to play in the long arc of history, and Helaena is the character they have chosen to deliver that message, over and over again, in dreams and in waking moments, with that same mystical certainty. By doing this, the show is making a quiet but enormous change to the meaning of the entire war. The dance stops being a failure and starts being a necessary sacrifice. The deaths stop being preventable and start being destined. The whole thing becomes part of some greater plan to save the world from the others, instead of a self-inflicted catastrophe caused by selfish people. And Helaena is paying the highest price for this rewrite, because to deliver that prophetic framing convincingly, the show needs her to be detached, mystical, above grief, beyond ordinary human reactions. She cannot scream when her son dies, because a screaming woman cannot deliver cosmic wisdom in the next scene. She cannot collapse with grief, because a collapsed woman cannot stand in Daemon's dream and tell him about his destiny. So the show takes her humanity, piece by piece, and sacrifices it on the altar of its own mythology, until what is left is not really a person anymore. Just a vessel. Just a voice. Just a prop the show reaches for whenever the plot needs a nudge. So what is the point of Helaena in House of the Dragon? In the book, the point is to be a mother, a wife, a victim, a person whose suffering shows the audience, in the most human possible way, exactly what this war costs. Her grief is one of the most powerful arguments the entire story makes against the dance happening at all. The fact that this gentle, kind young woman is destroyed by it is the whole point. The dance ruins everyone, including the people who never wanted to be part of it. In the show, the point is to give the dance a sense of cosmic importance it does not actually have, to trade her humanity for a prophecy. To use her as a mouthpiece for the destiny narrative, the show wants to layer over the source material. The show traded the most human Targaryen for the most plot-useful one, and the cost of that trade is bigger than just one character, because when Helaena stops being a person, every scene around her stops feeling real too. Her husband's burns mean less. Her son's death means less. Her own life means less. The whole emotional landscape of the show flattens, because the character who is supposed to be its emotional anchor has been hollowed out. She is not a queen, she is not a mother, she is not a survivor, she is a tool, and the show keeps reaching for her every time the plot needs to move. Helaena Targaryen deserved to be the heart of this story. Instead, the show made her its spoiler, and we are all worse off for it.